would be learning skills, gardening, etc. They will always need an external brain, 24/7. Always. You can't, you're not going to cure the brain damage that the alcohol's done. And you've got to monitor release. But the point is, if it's one step forward and two back, you just keep going. There's unconditional support. You never quit. And so this is I'm belting through it really well. Gosh, flat strap, eh? So my solution is from the cradle to the grave and the life course initiatives. Okay, so you have school-based nurses, and so that girls there's an independent person, and they can either go as a group or several to see the school nurse, or they can go alone. I've had some lovely feedback from school nurses about girls taking their buddies with them for support, like for tracking sexually transmitted infections, and you get girls around the table and saying, "You slept with him," and it sensitizes the talk. And so when you've got some really good school-based nurses, it's good investment. So then you promote healthy pregnancies to raise happy children, and there is so much. That is a huge topic. I could do an hour by myself to show you that this is what everybody needs to do. And it's not just Indigenous families, but it's every family. If you're planning pregnancy, you plan it, and you go to somebody who's really a doctor who's really understanding. Have your homocysteine levels checked and all of those things, and your micronutrients, because these are the things the bub's going to need. But one of the really good ideas, I think, is children's shelters within communities. Don't take the children away. Now, there's grannies out in Moree, and they're really concerned about the number of little ones that are being taken away, and they should be taking part in rearing them. And now Cherbourg's had a children's shelter for more than 25 years that I know of, and it works really well. The children's shelter never gets criticised because it's always been something that's run by the community. If the grannies want to, and the mum and dad, as long as they're not drinking or using, to go and strengthen bonds, learn how to parent, and the grannies can go and help with homework, help with feeding time, bathing and everything, but they're not left with the drudgery of day-to-day washing and cooking and all those sort of things. They can actually assist in a meaningful way. And so it is much cheaper, I think, than taking children in out-of-home care. By the time you take children and you book care workers around the clock in a motel or somewhere, that's a very expensive way of solving, well, it doesn't solve, but dealing with the problem, and it just doesn't go any further. But those children then could be assessed for developmental disabilities. They could do what Ross had done with his ones, put in what was needed to keep those little ones up with the rest of their age group. And also the professional services that a child needs, that a little one needs, can be given there. The local Aboriginal medical service can be part of this. So you've got a whole of community approach there, and the children are staying there. And then if a child does get involved with the juvenile justice system, then of course you can work it out at community level. But it's got to be unconditional support and assistance to the offenders, and it's definitely not about blaming mothers. We're finding also too now that fathers' alcohol use is impacting very much on babies. So this is my model. I made it last night. So it's about supporting every generation. You just can't deal with, I shouldn't be criticising the justice reinvestment programs, but that's too late. It's when this is when the secondary disabilities are there. You've got a choice of football or something like that. You're not really getting the nitty-gritty of things. And you've got to have the people who were sitting around the table in the Four Corners report, who was missing was the alcohol industry rep. There was no one there from them. And also there was no one there to represent the young people, even though some of the kids would find it very difficult to articulate what they really need. They still should have had a voice around that table. So here it starts one clockwise. The school nurses, healthy pregnancies, community children's shelters, act on the primary disabilities, don't let them go. The neurobehavioural accommodation model, prevent the secondary disabilities, juvenile justice initiatives, the vocational education, prison farms, and of course, more than anything, unconditional support. You never give up on a child. You've got to try and deal with all the many generations and the intergenerational influences of fetal programming, genetics, epigenetics, inequities, racism, and a multitude of breaches of basic human rights. And this is where it has to be definitely whole of community, whole of life course to correct. Okay, finish.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank you, Janet, for your valuable